Welcome back in, everyone. Welcome to Sports Talk with Hawk. Today we finish up the NFC South, the Buccaneers, the Saints. Two teams that very easily could be on one end of the division and the other end. Complete opposites. But let's check them out. Let's see if they can surprise us this year. Here we go. All right, guys, here we go. Here we go. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Third straight year they've had to replace their offensive coordinator. Now, I have said this, and Buccaneer fans are not happy with me. But let's just play the numbers here. Getting three offensive coordinators back to back 3 years in a row that can play call and scheme and understand the game of football that well is hard to do. I understand they're a great organization. I understand they have a great general management team. I'm only talking about the offensive coordinator. I'm only talking about the fact that we've seen multiple other teams, go from offensive coordinator to another offensive coordinator and everything disappeared. Like, is it really that much out of the question? And that is all I'm saying. But sticking with the theme that we have had for this year to this point, let's look at the first 6 games as you're working everything in. The first 6 games are as follows. At Atlanta, opening week. Big division game. Why is it big? Because both teams have division championship on the mind. That is the goal. Because of that, week 1 is absolutely huge. Week 2 against the Houston Texans, Monday Night Football. Huge. Then you have home games against the Jets and Eagles in weeks 3 and 4. On the road in Seattle, week 5. Home against San Francisco, week 6. At Detroit in week 7 and at New Orleans in week 8. Now, why did I go to week 8? Because week 9 is your bye week. So it's a perfect bye week. Perfect bye week. If you can get out of those first 8 games 4 and 4, I think you'd be pretty happy. And I know Buccaneer fans are going to say, oh no, we can go 5 and 3, 6 and 2. Listen, odds are you ain't beating Philadelphia because they're not the Philadelphia team you beat in the playoffs. Odds are you're not winning in Detroit because I'm sorry, they just, barring injuries, week 7 Monday Night Football, Detroit's going to be loud. Okay? And early on in the year, I'll give you maybe one of the two, Falcons and Texans. But the Falcons and Texans are eerily similar to the Buccaneers. What the Buccaneers have is an offensive line. The Falcons have an offensive line. Unfortunately, the Texans do not. That is what they are missing. But what the Buccaneers are missing is a really, really stout linebacking core. They run a 34. Their front line is okay. But their linebacking core, it's getting older and it's got a lot of question marks. I know the Hassan Reddick signing was really big. I have one question. Why? Why was it big? Why do you think it's going to matter? I'm sorry if he comes in fully in shape and he ends up being a disruptor, then yeah, it's definitely going to work out. We're talking about a guy that had a holdout, looked horrible at the end of last year. Does he still have it? We've seen guys, when you hold out that long, not be able to come back. Full off season, maybe he gets back into shape. Levante David, who I love, is back for another season. I hope he doesn't get hurt and that it ends it. I want him to finish the season, and then I hope he retires. I hate it when injuries force retirements. Go out on your own terms. Anthony Walker right next to him. Yaya Diaby. I mean, decent pass rush. But I think the linebacking core, Hassan Reddick's going to have to be huge. Logan Hall, Vita Vea, Kalijah Cansey, those guys are designed for stuffing the run. Hassan Reddick, Yaya Diaby, those guys have to rush the passer. The secondary is not bad at all. Jamel Dean, Antoine Winfield Jr., Tyke Smith, Jacob Parrish, and Zion McCollum, I'm a little bit hesitant on. I could have put secondary, but I love Antoine Winfield, and I love Dean, and I like Smith. So your second corner and nickel corner do have some question marks. I will give you that. I could have put corner here as well, 100%. Their offensive line, though, one of the strongest. One of the strongest. And honestly, I think it makes life really easy for Baker Mayfield. And it makes life easy on a brand new offensive coordinator. The question is, like I said in the schedule, the question is, these defenses they play up front. The Falcons have a brand new, rejuvenated defense. The Texans have a young, fast defense. The Eagles, defense. The Seahawks on the road have a defense. The Lions are not bad on defense. Remember, 16 injured reserve players last year. The defense will be better if it's only half of that. So I think going 4-4 in those first 8 heading into the bye week is very plausible. And I think coming back, listen, you're going to have to get a couple of wins somewhere. You have road games at Buffalo and at Los Angeles in the final 8 games. So you're going to need to win a couple of games in division, probably sweep the Saints, sweep the Panthers, and split with the Falcons is probably what you're going to have to do. Now, do I think they can get 10 wins? Absolutely. Success for this team is, once again, not making the playoffs, winning the division. That is success. Win the division again. Failure, missing the playoffs in any shape or form. That is a failure for this team, is missing the playoffs. You cannot miss the playoffs. The Saints are going to be garbage. They're going to be garbage. The Panthers, I think, will take a step up. They're going to be competitive, but you still should be able to beat them. I don't see why this team can't fight with the Falcons for a division championship. But it's the offensive coordinator that's the question for me. The offensive coordinator, 3rd year in a row, 3rd one, back to back to back. Does he understand feel of the game? Does he understand flow? Does he understand tendencies? There is a lot to being the offensive coordinator. And just saying, oh yeah, they'll be fine, doesn't work. Baker Mayfield has absolutely raised his stock in Tampa Bay. But do I believe he's the guy that's just going to take over the offense? Heck no. He's not that type of quarterback. He's not going to make up for the offensive coordinator's flaws. I don't believe that at all. That's not his style. He can play within the system. He's learned how to play within the system in Tampa Bay, and he's done a gosh darn good job of it. But you can't expect him to make up for flaws of an offensive coordinator. Offensive coordinator could be great. They could hit on 3 in a row, and then they could lose him at the end of the year to a head coaching job again. Could easily happen. But that's my question. That's my question. On the next team, I have got so many questions on this team. I have got a lot of questions on this team. Number one, why didn't management listen to me and absolutely blow it all up and reset the cap? And this is what I'm talking about, okay? So, one of their strongest positions is easily their offensive line. Kelvin Banks Jr., Fuaga, the tackles, Penning and Ruiz, the guard, and Eric McCoy is the center. Easily their strongest position on this team. But this is where I have the question. They have $20 million in cap space for this year. Next year, they are already $25 million over the cap. But in 2027, they open wide up. They open completely up. So my question is this. While Kelvin Banks is still getting into everything and learning as a rookie, Fuaga, the first-round pick last year, growing, you're going to be signing both of those guys. Why not trade Cesar Ruiz? Why not trade Trevor Penning? Like these are first-round pick guys, okay? Ruiz was 2020, Penning was 2022. So you got a 2022, 2023, 2020 or 2022, 2023 or 2024 and 2025. Sorry. You've got a really good offensive line. They hit on offensive linemen. But bar none. I know that some people may be thinking, well, hold it, if they hit on the offensive line, why screw it up? Because Ruiz is expensive. McCoy can get traded. You have your bookends. Yeah, keep Penning, keep Banks, keep Fuaga. Absolutely. Your cap space in 2027 opens up. You got $132 million available as of today. $132 million available in 2027. You've got the ability. We know you probably don't have the quarterback. Whether it's Spencer or Tyler, it's definitely not Jake. We know that. Alvin Kamara, I mean, he's probably the most exciting guy on your team. I love Devin Neal, the rookie they drafted from Kansas. This team, to me, cannot have 2 years of being this bad. You can't waste what you have with Banks, Fuaga, and Penning. I really think there's going to be a lot of teams sitting at week 8 going, and we need offensive line help. And if you are the Saints, you give them Ruiz and McCoy. You trade away Ruiz and McCoy, get your draft picks you need. Open up the cap space next year. Start before the deadline this year, opening up space for next year. They lost Tyrann Mathieu to retirement. They lost Derek Carr. Their defense, Brian Brees, I loved him when he was at Clemson. I really think they need to switch to a 43. I think this team would be much better suited for a 43 because your linebackers are Carl Granderson, Chase Young, Demario Davis, and Pete Werner. Too big. Way too big to be linebackers. I'm sorry. Granderson's not a he's not a great linebacker. He's decent when you're asking him to cover the back in the flat or do the chip or catch the tight end on a flat route. Chase Young's not a linebacker. Are you kidding me? He's a defensive end. I don't like this. I don't like the setup of this team right now. Kellen Moore is going to get a gimme, and he should. This team has no real cap space. This team has no real ability to compete on a high level. The secondary, Kool-Aid is decent, but their strongest part in their secondary is Justin Reed and Julian Blackmon. Alontae Taylor and Isaac Yiadom and Kool-Aid, the corners, probably will get eaten. Kool-Aid, I think, would be better suited for a second corner position where he's taking the second guy, not the top guy. And there are some corners that are just better like that. And that's okay. So you're not Sauce Gardner. My number one complaint for years with the Colts was when we had Nick Harper as our number one. Nick Harper was decent. He was absolutely decent as a number one corner. The second corner was basically a freaking revolving door until 2004. And the reality is, because Harper was just consistent enough in the defense, you didn't know he was there. He didn't make a ton of plays, but he didn't miss many tackles. He would get burned sometimes, but you took the lumps. That's what I think Kool-Aid is. If Kool-Aid carves out a Nick Harper, carves out a Terrell Buckley type of career, I think he will have a long 10 to 12 year career, be a very decent corner, make very good money, and be able to retire very happy. But I don't think he's the one that can take on the number one like Mike Evans, Drake London, now Ted McMillan. Game after game after game, I don't think that's his best position. So, they have a really easy schedule. Ish. It is exaggerated by a couple of different things. Because Carolina's on their schedule twice already. They play the Titans and they play the Bears. These are your first 6 games for head coach Kellen Moore, the new staff. Home against Arizona, home against San Francisco, at Seattle, at Buffalo, home against the Giants, and home against the Patriots. I'm sorry, Saints fans. The only W in that position right there is going to be the Giants, and that's if they're falling apart already. I don't see a lot of W's for this team. I really don't. They've got the Bucs at the Rams. I mean, even their end, the final 3 weeks, Jets, Titans, and at Falcons, the Jets are at home, but the Titans are on the road and the Falcons are on the road. Dome team on the road in December in Nashville. Not going to go over well. Guys, I can't lie to you. I barely see 3 wins on this schedule for this team. They don't have a quarterback. Their wide receiver room is injured all the time. Olave, I kind of wish he would have retired. He's got concussion issues. Saheed, electric receiver. Electric fast receiver. Can't stay healthy. I mean, teams are going to load the box, test Rattler, test Tyler. I don't see, they're not going to beat any defense that has a defensive line that can pressure you. And really, when it comes down to it, you're heading into that road game in Week 9 against the Rams. I would do it. Trade Ruiz. Trade McCoy. Open up cap space. Trade Young. Trade Granderson. Get 4, 5, 6 picks if you can. If teams are willing to give you a conditional, there will be some teams, especially for Ruiz, that will be willing to give you a conditional second round pick. And that conditional second round pick is easily if he re-signs a long-term deal. And if that's the case, you get a second round pick. McCoy, you can get a third maybe or a fourth. You can get a fourth for Young. You can easily get a fourth for Granderson. Give yourself the ability. You draft really well. It's time to get younger. Cameron Jordan's in his last year. Okay, it's time to get younger. It's time to play. It's time to play that cap game a little bit differently. No more kicking the can down the road. You need to fix this team now. I like the safeties. Reed and Blackman, I hope they can keep both of them. I think those are really good back-end safeties if Blackman can stay healthy. But you need draft picks. This team needs draft capital, draft capital, draft capital, draft capital. They can draft their quarterback number one. Listen, if Tyler ends up being a really good quarterback and they're comfortable with him and they can pass on a quarterback next year, do you realize how many picks they could get for that number one pick? Or how many picks they could get for the number 2 pick? Either or, this works for this team. Either or, the Saints will come out ahead. Success? Gosh, win 5 games. That's success. And I don't think there's a failure with this team. It's not a failure. They just don't have the setup right now to truly compete. And a lot of it has to do with quarterback. The offensive line can only take you so far in a game. The minute you get down 21, you got to throw. So they got to reset. They need to do it this year, though. They need to stop waiting. They need to fully reset the team so that you don't waste another year of Kellen Moore's coaching ability. I think he's going to be a decent head coach. I think he understands offense very well, but he is going to be absolutely hamstringed, shackled by what he's got. Injuries could really throw everything out the window. It could be a really hard watch for Saints games. Success, 5 games, and there is no failure. The failure would be to not capitalize on trade targets you have on your team. Reset. It's time for a reset. Your cornerstones are Banks and Fuaga on that offensive line. If you want to keep Penning too, that's fine. But Banks and Fuaga, your bookend offensive tackles, you're going to pay both of them. You know you're going to pay both of them. You've got a bunch of other stuff to work on now. It's time to get into the future. You're going to be really, really bad this year. Do it. And set yourself up to be able to win in the future. This division is going to be ultra competitive between the 3 teams if Young takes the next step. The Falcons and Bucs are the class of the division. The Bucs have won it consistently recently. You're not even really close right now in competing in the division. Make the reset. Make the reset. All right, guys. That is it for today. NFC South is done. Another division crossed off the list. All right. Let's see. Which division are we going to do next? I don't know. I'm not sure which division we'll do next. We'll find out tomorrow. All right, guys. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Make it the best day that you can. Football is one day closer. And that is all that matters. One day closer. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. As always, I deeply appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys on the next one. And until then, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I am Hawk. And I'm out. Have a fantastic evening.